So I'm here to answer the question. Is DD Crow the best hand trap in Yu-Gi-Oh right now? Maybe. What's going on, you guys? Slim here, finally back to do some discussions with you guys. You guys saw my previous video. We did the Golden Castle Strongberg Great Maju deck profile. If you guys want to go see that, check the previous video. You guys really wanted to see that deck, and yeah, I brought it to you along with the previous video a couple before it. That was the Danger build. Like I said, it's another deck we're going to have there on the channel. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. But today we're talking about my boy DD Crow. This card has been around forever, and literally I mean like forever, and it was like the OG original hand trap, and I think a lot of people basically forgot it. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about why I personally feel DD Crow is definitely one of the best hand traps right now in the game. Hands down, if you've looked at deck lists, there's no denying that the card has seen a lot more play. It's been very effective in main decks, been very effective in side decks, and I feel that just as, simple of a card as it is, it's highly, highly effective. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. If you're new here, consider subscribing, hit the notification bell so you get updates when I upload. And yeah, we'll talk about it. So DD Crow is very simple. It's a quick effect. You discard the card to the graveyard, banish one card in your opponent's graveyard. Doesn't matter if it's monster, spell, or trap, you just banish it. Now you guys are thinking, Slim, that's so simple. I could just play Call by the Grave. Yes and no. So Call by the Grave, I love that card. I've gone back and forth with that card depending on what deck I play. I think you guys have seen I really haven't played that card, I think outside of Mech Knight Invoked, and the reason being is that most decks know how to play through hand traps. Like if a deck is super fragile to where it dies to one hand trap, I don't think it's a good deck. I think if a deck literally dies to one hand trap, it's just not strong. Like if you're playing against your opponent, the majority of people that play this game play Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. If your deck literally loses to a single Ash Blossom and you have to pass and then you get OTK'd, or you just lose in general, you just lose all your advantage, I just don't think it's worth playing at all, because that really sucks. Like people could argue like, oh, if your Alistair gets stopped, oh, if this gets stopped. There's so many things in Mech Knight Invoke that could get stopped, and I play Call by the Grave just because it's an added insurance policy so that my Alistair does resolve. But I mean, there's so many ways to bait out hand traps in that deck that it's completely different. But DD Crow is different. So DD Crow is not really something that you use in response to what your opponent does. Usually your opponent goes Pot of Desires, they banish the 10, you ash it, they're sad. You do anything that would someone from deck, you ash it, they don't get the play, they don't get the advantage, they don't get to keep going with their plays, they don't get to keep climbing their ladder, to link climb, etc. The thing with DD Crow though is you can use it at any time. You can use it at any time, and it can be super important depending on the matchup. So we're going to go through a lot of the main meta and talk about how good this card is. So Orcust. I think DD Crow is so insane against Orcust, it has seen main deck play. Like if you guys watch YCS London, if you guys have watched any of the deck profiles that people have been posting, DD Crow is something that was in a lot of the main decks. A lot of players played it because they felt that, this is one of the best hand traps I can play. Ash is definitely the most generic hand trap that people can play. It's one of the best cards. People play Phantasmic because it fixes their hands, gets a monster on board, protects their monsters. But DD Crow is something that, like I said, has been around forever, but it also is highly effective in the fact that there are so many cards that resolve in the graveyard. There are so many cards that want to banish themselves from the graveyard, especially in the Orcust strategy, that, you DD Crow that card, you DD Crow that harp, the minute they send it to grave, it's gone. You DD Crow the Symbol Skeleton or the Nightmare, or any of them, honestly, any of them. DD Crow, any of the stuff that they're trying to get started with, especially harp, they're going to have a hard time playing the game. I've seen so many games where a single DD Crow banishing, whatever Nightmare they sent to start their combo, they just pass. And what can happen most of the day, these days in Yu-Gi-Oh? You just OTK them. Sky Strikers. Do I even need to say it? If you Crow Ray, it's pretty nice. It's actually pretty nice. Like, Call by the Grave, same thing. Call by the Grave against Ray is amazing. You just banish the Ray and it's gone. You don't have to worry about it. You run over the Sky Striker links because they're usually all weenies, and you literally just win because of it. And it's so crazy. Like, that's why Call by the Grave is so versatile. But the same thing with Crow is your opponent doesn't see it coming. The opponent does not see a DD Crow coming because it comes out of your hand. It's a quick effect, so they're not going to know what's happening. Like, they go effect, you DD Crow, get it out of the way. You've cleared their Shizuku or their Hayate or the Kagari, and you know what? They can't keep playing until they get to another copy of Ray. And the best part about that is that you actually banished it, so it's not coming back. And I think that's what's so amazing about DD Crow, is the fact that it banishes a card 9 times out of 10. I'll leave that 1% chance that it will come back depending on what deck the opponent plays. You usually will not see it. You usually will not see that monster again, especially Ray in Sky Striker, or you DD Crow something detrimental in Orcust or whatnot, depending on how far they can extend. it's probably not coming back. So DD Crow, highly effective in that sense. Salamangreat, I mean, there's endless targets. Like, let's talk about just hitting the one Gazelle. Like, they have one copy of Gazelle, get rid of the Gazelle, get rid of the Spinny, get rid of the Jaguar. There's so many cards you can just hit in that deck. You can even DD Crow the damn Balinks. DD Crow the damn Balinks and punch them for game. Like, literally, that's what I've seen with DD Crow, and I think it's highly effective. I think a lot of players do not give it enough credit, but I've noticed that, you know, especially if you're following the YCS trends, you're going to start to see a huge surge in this card's popularity. It's going to continue. I think it's going to carry on into YCS Pasadena next week, and I think that it's super important that you guys know just how effective this hand trap is. And the best part about DD Crow, it's got a ton of reprints. It just got another reprint. I think it's Ultra in the Dual Devastator. They look pretty nice. And guess what? You buy 3 of them, like I said, you invest in 3 of them, you get all the hand traps. You literally get like all the hand traps. You get 3 DD Crow. And DD Crow is just highly effective. If a card makes the main deck, you know that that card is good. You know that that card is, you know, over the top. And I think a lot of people do not give the card enough credit. I think that the best thing about it is that usually, I say this with Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs, but I'll say it again with DD Crow. You're usually gonna find something to DD Crow. It's not one of those hand traps where it's super based on the situation. Like, you're able to DD Crow pretty much at any time. Also, against Sky Striker, like, you can literally hit the engage. Like, they want to Kagari it back, you can just DD Crow it. You literally can just, you know, end their turn. You can literally put them so far back, just getting rid of the card they're trying to target, which is so great. I think a lot of players, you know, I've seen a lot of players actually do that. Like, DD Crowing the engage, especially in the mirror match, is so nuts, because engage is what the deck is all about. Whoever sees engage first, whoever resolves the most engages wins. Like, you know how this works. DD Crowing engage is insane. DD Crowing Ray is insane. All the Salamangreat cards, all the Orcus cards. And then there's Thunder. Okay, so Thunder is a little different. So Thunder, you really don't want to hit any of the Thunder monsters. Let's face it, you really don't. Like, you'd rather call by the grave them 9 times out of 10. I don't really think there's a good place that you could DD Crow that deck. The only card I could think of, if you main deck it and you're up against Thunder Dragons, the only card I could see you guys hitting is the Thunder Dragon Fusion, the spell, because that card does banish, you know, and searches another Thunder. You do have that option. Like I said, you do have that option. I guess you could also, depending on if the opponent used any of the 4 Thunders, whether it be Matrix, Dark, Roar, or Hawk, if they did use them that turn, I guess you could DD Crow another copy from the graveyard. The problem is Hawk can get from banish, Roar can get from banish. Like, it really, yeah, it's not that great. But again, if you are main decking it, if you are playing against Thunder Dragons, you can hit the Thunder Dragon Fusion. It does work. It's also really good against the combo decks. There's so many cards you can hit. Like, I don't even know where to begin with that. Like, you can just banish anything when they start their combos going off, like their World Shallows guy or whatever it is, depending on what route they're going with the deck. The thing is with that deck plays through so many hand traps. Like, DD Crow is one of those ones, though, I feel not a lot of decks can play through. And I say that because there's not a lot of interaction with it. You're not really, like, you know, if you Ash something, you know, you can only use it once per turn. DD Crow, you can use multiple. So, I mean, that's the thing, is that it's kind of like Effect Veiler. It's one of those old school hand traps where it's not limited to once per turn. So, Veiler and Crow, you can just use them multiple times, and that's amazing. Like, you may think 2 dead DD Crows in your hand isn't great, but depending on how the match plays out, it could end up being your saving grace, and it could buy you a turn. And a turn in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is probably the most valuable thing that there is, because it's rare you really get a turn in this build-a-board, break-a-board format. So, yeah. But overall, you guys already know I'm a huge fan of DD Crow. I love this card. I've talked about this card, I think, for years. I've talked about how effective I feel it is in just, you know, almost every format. And I feel like it's not until it's brought into the player's attention that it really starts to, you know, get the respect it deserves. But it's definitely something I think you guys should, you know, try out. I'm going to do probably like top 5 or top 10 or top whatever, because I don't count cards going into YCS Pasadena, like tech cards, side deck cards. If you guys want to see that, communicate it down below to me in the comments. I think that this card is great. I think that, you know, it's old school. It's old school Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's a card that keeps seeing play. It keeps coming back, and I love that about cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! When they can, you know, stand the test of time and really just be effective in any format. And I'm sure there's plenty of decks you can do this against. Like, I've only mentioned, like, the main meta decks I see. There's plenty of other decks you can do this against. It could be against Heroes. It could be against Grand Module. It could be against so many decks. Like, there's so many different decks you could just, you know, DD Crow at, that I feel that the card is amazing in the side deck. It could be amazing in the main deck, depending on what you're playing. And then overall, it's a card you guys should consider. And like I said, you guys, there's a billion reprints. If you guys want to get DD Crows, you can get them as simple as common or as amazing as ulti, first ed, mint condition, grade 10. Yeah, DD Crow was an ultimate back in the day. But if you guys do that, consider using my TCG player link. It's in the description below. Portion of what you buy goes back to the channel. It helps me out, and I really do appreciate it. But yeah, DD Crow is the homie. I think DD Crow is awesome. I hope you guys think so too. Let me know what you guys think about DD Crow. Yeah, it's definitely a card I wanted to talk about. There were other hand traps I thought about talking about. I thought about doing another hand trap video, but I feel that the hand traps really haven't changed. The only one that I feel that does not get enough attention right now is DD Crow, and it's something that definitely should. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, drop one of these, helps me out. And let me know your thoughts on DD Crow if you're playing it in your main deck or side deck, and we'll have a great conversation in the comments. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.